Hi everyone and welcome to another Korean lesson from Korean Studio. My name is Kim Gi-hwan. And today we're going to be learning how to talk about our feelings and moods in Korean. Now, one of the most unique features of Korean language is that Korean adjectives are verbal. And this means that they take up the position of verbs in a sentence and they basically function like a verb. So if we want to say I am happy or I feel happy, we can use the adjective 행복하다 and say 저는 행복해요. 저는 행복해요. So 행복하다 means to be happy or to feel happy. So it already contains the verbs to be or to feel. For this reason, Korean adjectives are also referred to as descriptive verbs. And today we're going to be looking at some common adjectives we can use to talk about our feelings and moods in Korean. Let's begin with some adjectives that describe positive feelings and moods. First, we have to be happy, and that's 행복하다. 행복하다. So as we learned before, I am happy or I feel happy is 저는 행복해요. 저는 행복해요. And to say I am happy at work, we can say 저는 직장 생활이 행복해요. 저는 직장 생활이 행복해요. 직장 means a job or a workplace. And 생활 is a noun that refers to one's life in some job or at a particular place. So when we say 직장 생활, it's referring to the time one spends at his or her job, life in the job. And we can change 직장 with other nouns that refer to one's life somewhere else. So to say I'm happy at school, I can say 저는 학교 생활이 행복해요. 저는 학교 생활이 행복해요. And to say I am happy being married or I'm happy with my marriage, I can say 저는 결혼 생활이 행복해요. 저는 결혼 생활이 행복해요. So noun plus 생활 can be used to refer to someone's life in a job or someone's life at a particular place. Now, in English, there are many words that have a similar meaning to happy, such as glad, delighted, thrilled, and so on. And while there are certain differences in their nuances, in many situations, these words can be used interchangeably. So if we find out that our sibling is expecting a baby, then we can say, I'm so pleased for you. I'm so thrilled for you, or I'm so happy for you. And while each of these words express a slightly different meaning, the sentences all kind of have a similar meaning. Likewise, in Korean, there are also other words that have a similar meaning to 행복하다. But one word that's very close in meaning to 행복하다 is 기쁘다. 기쁘다 generally means to be glad. And in many situations, we can use 기쁘다 and 행복하다 interchangeably. However, slight difference in the usage is that 행복하다 focuses more on one's general happiness. Happiness about one's life or just the situation as a whole. Whereas 기쁘다 can focus more on specific events. So to talk about one's happiness with life, we would use 행복하다. And to talk about being happy about maybe receiving a birthday present, it's more common to use 기쁘다. Nevertheless, when we talk about our happiness with life, we generally don't use 기쁘다. But to talk about being happy for receiving a present, it's quite common to use both 행복하다 and 기쁘다. So 행복하다 has a more broad range of uses than 기쁘다. Now let's take a look at a few other useful adjectives we can use to talk about positive feelings and moods. To say to be excited, we can say 신나다, 신나다, and 들뜨다, 들뜨다. And to say to be enjoyable or to be pleased, we can say 즐겁다, 즐겁다. And we generally use 즐겁다 to talk about some activity being enjoyable. So if you went on a date and you had a great time, you can say to your date, 즐거웠어요, 즐거웠어요. And this means it was enjoyable. I had a good time. Okay, so those were some of the more common adjectives we use to describe positive feelings and moods. Let's take a look at some adjectives we can use to describe negative feelings and moods. First, to say I am sad, we can say 슬프다, 슬프다. And to say I am depressed, we can say 우울하다, 우울하다. Now, a really common word Koreans use to talk about a negative feeling is 짜증나다. 짜증나다. And 짜증나다 generally means to be annoyed. And this word is very common in everyday use. And it's one of those words that you can kind of say to yourself. So for example, if you are waiting for a bus during rush hour, and when the bus comes, because the bus is overcrowded, the driver only lets on 1 or 2 passengers and they have to close the door and they have to go off. And since you've been waiting for a very long time, you're obviously going to be quite annoyed. And in that situation, you can say, 짜증나. 진짜 짜증나. And the tone and the facial expression is going to be very important here. So it's 짜증나. 진짜 짜증나. Remember that. Now, another useful word in Korean is 속상하다. 속상하다. And 속상하다 means to be upset. 속 in Korean means inside, and 상하다 is a verb that can mean to go bad or to rot. So we can use the verb 상하다 to talk about food going bad. However, we can also use 상하다 to talk about one's feelings going bad or being hurt. So 속상하다 means to be upset. And similar to the English word upset, we can use 속상하다 in many different situations. So if you didn't do well in an exam, you can say 속상하다. And if your best friend cannot come to your birthday party, you can say 속상하다. And if your holiday was cancelled because of COVID, which is obviously happening a lot, you can say 속상하다. 속상해. So 속상하다 is a really useful word to talk about your feelings and moods negatively. Now, the final adjective we're going to learn in this lesson is to be angry. And the most common adjective we use to talk about being angry is 화나다. 화나다. But another common word Koreans use to talk about being angry is 열받다. 열받다. 열 means heat and 받다 means to receive. So the literal meaning of 열받다 is to receive heat. And we use this expression to talk about being angry. However, do note that 열받다 is quite a casual term. So in a more formal situation or setting, you shouldn't use 열받다 to talk about you or others being angry. Okay, so far we've been looking at different kinds of adjectives we can use to talk about our feelings and moods positively and negatively. But there is also a word that we commonly use to talk about our mood, and that's 기분. 기분. Kibun is a noun that means feeling or mood. And we can use various adjectives with kibun to talk about being in a good mood or bad mood. The most common adjective we use is 좋다, which means to be good. So to say I'm in a good mood, we can say 저는 기분이 좋아요. 저는 기분이 좋아요. And to say I'm not in a good mood, we can say 저는 기분이 안 좋아요. 저는 기분이 안 좋아요. However, another common adjective we use with 기분 is 나쁘다. 나쁘다, which means to be bad. So if we say 저는 기분이 나빠요, it means I feel terrible or I'm in a bad mood. And this is similar in meaning to 저는 기분이 안 좋아요. Now, we also commonly use the verb 상하다 with 기분. So we can say 기분이 상하다. And this means to have been hurt or to be offended. So there is greater focus on someone's feelings and mood being negatively affected by someone or something when we use 상하다. So 기분 plus verb is another common way of talking about our feelings and moods. Now, naturally, in any language, there are many different ways of talking about our feelings and moods. But today, we focused on some of the more common expressions that we can use to talk about our feelings and moods in Korean. Hope it was another useful lesson today, and I look forward to seeing you soon again. Bye-bye.